The folks at Byron Seeds believe organic requires a different perspective, plan, and approach. Organic isn't simply a different type of product or even a different way of farming. It's a different way of thinking, planning, commitment. It's a different philosophy on how to feed the world. Many won't understand, but the people at Byron Seeds do. We're owned by organic dairy farmers. We not only have the product, but we plan, manage, and execute organic. We speak your language, we share your struggles, and we laud your successes. Organic isn't a way of doing business, it's a community. We learn from each other. We're in this together. We'd be glad to talk cropping plans, management systems, the road to profitability. We understand what you're trying to do. We're farmers just like you. Visit us at byronseeds.net or give us a call at 800-801-3596. And thanks to Byron Seeds. You're listening to Rooted in Organic podcast, and today we are in Onalaska, Washington, sitting down with Luke Iverson, who is an organic dairy farmer, a dairy farmer, and organic on several different farms, and here to get his story of how he got into dairy, how he got into organics, and get all the background there. So, Luke, thanks for joining us, and if you want to start with an introduction and then dive into how you got started.
Okay, I guess my name's Luke Iverson. With my family and a lot of our team, we have 3 locations that milk and then 1 heifer location. 1 location has a business partner that also is a big reason how we've expanded the last couple years. Hank Dolman's his name. So 1 location has a partner, and then the other 2 locations in the heifer ranch is my wife and our family.
So how did you grow up on a dairy farm, or did you?
No, I didn't actually. I grew up next to 2 dairy farms. Both my uncles dairy farmed.
So that's how you got the bug, or?
Yeah, just working for them and kind of liking the lifestyle. And, along the way, obviously, people help you and give you opportunities, and you try and take those opportunities and treat the people that helped you right. And that's kind of just what I've tried to do, and slowly grow. I kind of tell the people I'm a 4-H project gone wild, so just keep gathering cows, and if there's a little bit of opportunity, we try and go for it. And you got to have you got to be willing to take risk. I've been so close to broke so many times, and I'm sure I'll be there again because we roll the dice, but
So when did you start your first dairy on your own?
So, all right, we'll go way back here. When I was 17, I told my father, I always got good grades and everything, that wasn't a problem, but I told my father, I just don't think I want to go to college and stuff, and I really enjoy working with my Uncle Roy, Uncle Ron, and that's kind of what I want to do. And so I still don't know if my uncle and my dad got together or not. I don't know. But at the time, my uncle used to build his herd up and then sell half his herd to Idaho. And then build his herd up and sell half his herd to Idaho. Well, he had just sold half his herd, so he had a bunch of barn space, and worked out a deal with me that if I wanted to buy some cows and rent some stalls and trade some labor, and then I would get a certain percentage of the milk check. And so when I was 17 in high school, that's kind of, I think my dad and him wanted to make sure I knew the business end of things and exactly what went into that. And, I'm grateful for that. I learned a lot from my uncle and aunt, and we did that for 3 years. And then my sister said, oh, how much fun they were having in college. And so I was like, oh, man, I got to try it or I'll regret it forever. So we sold everything and went back to school. And I did that for 3 years, and school just wasn't for me. I'd come home on the summers, work for my uncle, work for my dad in construction, and just enjoyed hands-on. At the end of the day, it felt like I did something. I just enjoyed that. I was kind of depressed in school and it wasn't my cup of tea. So that's I never went back for my senior year of college. I just stayed working. I said, yeah, I'm just a much happier person. And so I really didn't know what I was going to do. I was working construction and working for my uncle, picking up hours everywhere I could. And I'd still like to buy cows. I always have liked to buy cows. So I'd buy springers, cab them out at my uncle's, sell them. Had a small note with the local farm credit branch and made friendly relations with the farm credit gal. So that's kind of just working my way through. I think I was 23, not knowing what I was going to do. And my dad was fixing an old boy's barn because he ran the tractor through it. And the old boy said, I'd really love to give a young kid a chance. And my dad said, well, maybe you should call my son. He don't know what he's going to do, and he likes agriculture. And the dairy had been shut down for 5 years, so he called me up, and I said, well, I'll come take a look. I doubt I can make anything happen, but I'll come take a look. And by the grace of, I guess it's a good thing that it happened. Some days I wonder. But, anyway, we ended up working out a deal, renting some of his acreage, buying some of his acreage. And just that was in 04, and June 1st of 04. And then, so that was my first conventional dairy, and we did that. And, 04 to 08 was pretty good, and 09 was pretty bad. And just lots of up and downs, but just kind of slowly people help me, and I try and help them, and got a good wife and had some kids and got a good family. And that's, I guess, 16 we started renting our first organic farm. And then at this location, 2000, we started renting this one. A couple of years ago, we ended up buying the first organic location, and supposed to sign on this location February 1. So, I guess kidding. February 2nd. So.
So when did you first start shipping organic milk? 2016. Okay. And that was at this location that we're on?
No, that was at used to be Paradise, just down the road, mile down the road. All three locations are right in this area.
Okay.
So that original conventional dairy
is 7 miles north. That's where I got heifers at now.
Okay.
So I shut that down, and 2020 was busy. All of a sudden, Darigold base became worth a lot of money.
The conventional.
The guy here at this location had wanted to retire, and I just didn't have enough equity to make it happen. Well, Darigold base all of a sudden became worth a lot of money, so I had the opportunity to sell my Darigold base, my cows, and take that money and buy these cows and rent this location. So that's what I did. And the guy that bought my Darigold base, me and him just took a liking to each other, and after 3-4 dinners, we found another opportunity that was real close, and he kind of financed it and let me kind of manage it and work into our partnership. And so that's the third location that is a couple miles away.
So when you got in conventional, you went through a couple of years. You had 2009 as a downturn or
big time,
rough
yeah.
year.
Yeah.
Did that have you considering organic, or did organic come about because it was like the properties you were looking or the farms you were looking at were already organic, and then that was just kind of, well, let's see if we can keep this going?
Well, originally go organic just for opportunity around here for a small farm to stay in business. There's certain things I like about it. One thing I've found is, you don't overcrowd the cows, and you just kind of let the cows take care of themselves, and actually pretty, you don't need a lot of medicine, vaccinate well, and that's about it. And, but, we get greedy, we start crowding, and that's when things happen. That's when we start seeing sickness and stuff, so it's a fine line. So
how many cows do you have on this location where we are?
We're milking around 215 probably here right now.
How about each of the other locations?
I'm milking 300 on the one we have a partner with, and 150 on the other one, and then at my place we got few hundred heifers. At my original home place, I got a couple hundred heifers and a few beef cows.
Okay. And then the old conventional dairy also has heifers, or that's the heifers.
That's the original home place. Yep. Yep. So
what was the learning curve once? It sounds like you had a lot of experience in the dairy business and dairy world, but of course, transition or going organic also has its learning curves too.
Just
what was
grazing
grazing?
Yeah. I grazed before, and then I didn't graze, and I like grazing.
Was the infrastructure set up already to be
here?
Able to graze on any of the farms, or did you have to build it?
At the last location that I have a partner with, when in 2020 to 25, the ground around was all already certified, and we used it for feed, but the actual dairy was conventional. So we are right now putting in infrastructure over there for putting in. Well, we put asphalt. I don't know if they'll be good or bad, but we put asphalt grindings in for the cow lane, and we're trying. That's the farm we're going to try the halter system out on and see. I guess that gets turned on, and cows are all collared and everything. But I think we turn that on about April, beginning late March, early April.
Because that's a monthly fee, right?
It's per year.
Per year.
I believe. Don't quote me on this, but I think it was close to like $100 per cow per year, maybe. But I think if you increase your yields and
well, can you explain the system a little bit? Because we had talked a little bit before about I have the no fence collars. So what you said, it's called the halter system?
It's called halter. It's New Zealand, I believe, and they got over there. They even got it activity and stuff, but here. We're going to just have the fence.
Just the GPS fence, and you can...
it's got a tower, so it's not totally off GPS.
Okay.
I put a tower up, but that one tower can go quite a distance. They were even thinking it could maybe reach this farm if I wanted to collar these cows, which it's probably as a crow flies a couple miles. So
with the tower... You probably wouldn't have the variation of the line like you do directly from satellite.
Probably not.
Okay, so that would be
That's
interesting.
probably why they're using it right now in New Zealand, I'm pretty sure, but and on some beef cows over here, but we might be towards the beginning of the dairy cows that are here, and that's why they're not offering a lot of the other features that are
get the main thing figured out first, and then they can add the features later, I'm guessing.
Maybe. I don't know their business plan, but I just know we're thankful to be able to give it a shot and see, you know. You got to try stuff.
Will you still have like a perimeter fence?
Yeah. And we put up a perimeter fence, and then I'll probably keep fence on the lanes and then just move the invisible fence probably on the computer or whatever. I guess it's all new to me. I'm sure we're going to have learning curve and bumps and bruises. And
I think what's so cool about that is you can back fence.
Yeah.
You know, you can move that brake wire and you can back fence and get that regrowth.
That's where you're going to gain, it looks like to me too, right? Because right now we don't back fence that good. We move the fence every 12 hours, but we're not. So moving the fence, a lot of work, as you know.
Is your pasture irrigated?
Yeah, some of it. Yeah.
Okay.
You know, I'd like better irrigation, but yes.
What's better? What do you mean better? More, or do you run out of water?
No, we don't run out of water, but we're doing it with big guns, so that's probably not efficient and not the best irrigation method, I don't think, but you know, a little bit at a time, just trying to keep improved a little bit at a time.
I would love, once you have those collars going on the cows, I would love for you to give me an update on that. Yeah. Because I think because in 2017 I was in Sweden, Norway, and Denmark, and in Norway, they were testing them out on the mountainsides, and they had to have a tower out, and it was all still line of sight at that point because they didn't have the satellite tie-in.
Okay.
And I was pretty excited when it came available over here, and that's why
I think it could be huge. I mean, just the not just in labor savings, but the increase in your like you say, with the back fence, you're going to get that much faster growth. And then also, other than labor, it's like even materials. How much do I spend a year on polywire? A pile and reels. And I mean, if we eliminate reels and polywire a little bit, not totally, you're never going to get away from it all the way, but
what I think is cool also is like where we are, nobody has irrigation. So in a wet year, you have wet spots in a field, and you could literally go in there and mark that wet spot off, and the cows can graze that paddock and not go in that wet spot.
Yep.
It's just the flexibility is incredible.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, I agree. We're excited about trying to use it. So, and if it works, we're using it everywhere. You know. So it's kind of like the perfect time to try it over there because it's we didn't have the infrastructure at all, right? We didn't have the cross fencing, didn't have the lanes. It was just one big pasture. Here you go. So you were going to have to spend money on setting up the infrastructure. So it's not like you had bought the infrastructure already. Now you're adding that. So So last June is when cows came. So we bought a lot of polywire and tent fence and the perimeter fence. We got up in lanes, and now we're putting water troughs out there and adding the halter system. But we didn't put any like permanent fence up inside the main paddock, right? We just put some lanes out there and some water troughs, and if you don't have to have any cross fencing, hey, great. You know, that's how much easier is it to apply manure if you don't have it, or
clip some pasture.
Clip some pasture and just hop over and go do it, you know.
And the other thing that I think would be really cool is if, let's say, you have a heifer location that's 20 miles away, and they're out on grass, and you might not be able to check them every day.
Yeah, you just move the fence, yeah.
Yeah, you can move the fence, and you can see the activity, because I know the no-fence collar, if there's not enough activity for a certain amount of time, you get an alert.
Yeah, they alert, yeah.
Why isn't this goat moving? And I'm sure the same thing will be with the halter system.
Yep. Yeah, no, it's exciting. I'm not, I'm not going to say it's the best thing ever because we haven't used it yet, but we're excited to try it for sure.
Do you have to recharge them, or?
So they're a little bit worried about that. That's why we got them in maintenance mode right now, because they're solar charged.
Okay.
Totally solar charged. So we're kind of right on the border. Maybe we don't have enough sun. Maybe it don't work.
How much
Be
do
money
they
down the
need
drain.
to? How much sun does it need to?
I haven't got into that with them. They just they did the research on that and said they were pretty confident they could get it through the grazing season.
And that's why it's on top of the neck also to get.
Yeah, when when we're done, I'll take you over there and show you. It's 2 miles away if you guys want to drive over there and look at it.
I'd love to see them. So, I'm intrigued. There's one guy in Ohio that is building a new dairy that is going all robotic feeding and collars like that. So
then we use. I do love all the activity systems and stuff like that. We use them everywhere. I'm sold on them. They've improved our breeding. We got NEDAP here. We got.
So, you mentioned, you bought polywire ahead of setting or bringing cows into this other location, and the nice part about having 2 other locations is you can use that polywire elsewhere.
Yep.
But one thing I was wondering is, you see a lot of times now there's consolidation of dairies instead of having multiple locations, just all at one place.
And maybe labor-wise, that's way more efficient. But our location, you got to have grazing acres, and where I live, it's hard to get grazing acres.
Yep.
So
that was my question.
That's why we haven't. That's why we haven't consolidated.
Sure. Yep.
Kind of these are old farms that have a little bit of infrastructure to them, and
you'd have to build all new
somewhere, right? And it wouldn't be in this area. I like this area pretty good, so I'm gonna try and hang on here as long as I can.
Yep.
Is your family involved in the operation?
My wife is. My kids are.
Okay.
My mother and father, no, they weren't. My dad had rentals. Was in construction and then bought rental houses. So,
yeah, I think your story on starting out, it's given the opportunity at 17 years old to actually
fairly unique, I guess, and it's a lot of people that gave me a chance. Right, my uncle and aunt gave me a chance, and then at 24, the guy that sold the place and rolled the dice on me gave me a chance. There's been a lot of people along the way. My dad, a lot of free labor. My dad gave me a lot of free labor and advice on construction and helped me with the construction project and come run the bagger for me when we started making our own feed, and just
takes a village, right?
Oh, it does, and you try and remember that and treat people right. I guess that's kind of
one thing. We were at Zylstra's last night, and they were kind of talking about the dairy industry right in this little area here, and it's been
beat up pretty good.
Yeah. So
the whole state of Washington, conventional industry's been beat up pretty good.
And so organic has kind of been the opportunity that has kept some of these farms going.
Yep. I'm sure they told you. I think there's 14 dairies left in our county, and every one of them is organic now.
Would you pursue other location opportunities if you? I mean, I'm assuming with the infrastructure here, there are facilities that are not in use currently. That
if there was one close here, I got the heifers in availability. I could probably fill it if I, but I don't know where any are at right at the moment.
Sure.
Hey, I look at anything, I don't know. I guess that's my nature. I don't know why, but
you You like to have a lot of things going on?
Yeah.
Sounds like it.
I do, yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
obviously, you've got 3 dairies going and all that. That sounds like a rat race, but it seems
it's
like
a
you're
rat
enjoying
race,
it.
but I like it. I get up every day. I love what I do, and then, honestly, I got good people that I can trust at each location, and some of them work at all the locations, and they right now in the winter I got afternoons where I go coach basketball and enjoy that with something that my kids and me really enjoy doing together, and my wife. So coach high school basketball, coach 4th grade basketball, coach, we just that's something that my afternoon, because I've got a good crew and good people that I can trust. I'm fortunate enough to be able to do right now. It always hasn't been that way, but right now it is. So we're going to enjoy it.
And that's one thing from where I come from in Ohio, with it's all, well, not all, but primarily small farms that are all family labor. So when you talk about having a good crew, like that's almost a foreign concept to me.
Okay.
Because it's almost all family labor, maybe one employee. So the owners, they're there all the time.
All the time.
So when I see farms like you have, 3 different locations, you have to have a good crew, or you're going to drive yourself insane.
If I didn't have a good crew, I couldn't do it, right? If it was just me, I'd be probably 100 cows. I don't know. On one location with some automation. The automation stuff's pretty cool. I mean, we're looking at all kinds of stuff. I don't know what I'll pull the trigger on, but
Can you go into a little bit what you're at least looking at?
Oh, just I'm not so sure I'm going to do the automated milking, but the automated manure, the little vacuums that suck it up and go dump it, and I can't remember what they're called for collectors, maybe for Lely. There's some other different brands, and then also I think one location I got where I'm going to have to update some feed equipment on the littlest area. I think it could be where we could put one of them vector feeding systems in, probably.
Would you use the little crane to fill the mixer?
That's what we went and looked at. It'd take me a couple years to kind of get built back up to where we can pull the trigger on it, but that's kind of the direction I'm kind of leaning. I don't know.
We
decided
cool
to try
system.
and buy ground instead of investing in that right now. So can't do everything at once.
Because it seems like when ground becomes available, you have to be ready, because you never know when it's going to happen, and it may never happen again.
Yeah. Yeah. Around here, it's we do a lot of lease ground, and even this farm, I'm buying part of it, but the surrounding acreage will be leased, so just try and do a little bit at a time.
What does ground run around here?
Bare ground, I don't know, 10, maybe more. The smaller the plot, the more per acre, but like if you got something that can be zoned in 5s, you could get 25,000 an acre maybe. But
well, can you talk
a
little bit?
The county and the state. We got a state that zoning laws and stuff.
Because I would love to learn a little bit more about zoning here, because where I live, there was never been agricultural zoning, so that's why land's at 85,000 an acre. It's just because they're chopping it up into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 acre parcels. So how does the zoning
That's the
work?
way it used to be, but I don't know. So and if people were smart enough to chop it up way back when, then it's worth more now. But if they didn't have it chopped up when they put the laws in place, and you get 1 in 20s, 1 in 40s. So.
Interesting.
1 in 5s, 1 in 10s. And really, I mean, they want to keep it agriculture, but what's 1 in 20 do? Nobody's making a living on 20 acres. It ain't going to stay agriculture. You're going to have I mean, I guess I don't know how we go down this rabbit hole, but this is my opinion. You're not going to... It doesn't do anything because you're going to have 2 horses on 20 acres and it's not going to be agricultural anyway. So, I mean, what's the point?
So I'm trying to follow what that means. So certain areas you can have 1 occupancy or house per...
You can't break the land up like for... I think this is 1 in 40s here. So I could divide like...
You couldn't go below 40-acre parcels.
You couldn't sell off under 40-acre parcel.
Gotcha. Okay.
Which 40 acres is not going to be a farm anyway unless it's a little produce, vegetable, hobby farm.
Yeah. So that's just the way I was looking at it. It was like, yeah, that's great in theory, but I look all over the county and anywhere that was a farm that's 1 in 10s or 1 in 20s now, it's got a horse and that's it. So if a horse is agricultural, hey, okay, I guess that's...
Yeah.
You know.
Not contributing much to the agriculture.
No, it ain't. It ain't. Zero, right? Zero to the economy. I mean, these guys should... Well, I don't want to get in that.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, that's a whole nother... I don't need to get worked up.
Okay.
But.
So you're a wheeler and dealer and you're always got something going on. So what are you looking at in the future? Are you looking at another location? What do you have like long range goals, or is it just when things come about you're one of those that looks at it and pulls the trigger if it makes sense?
Both, yeah.
Okay.
I think my oldest son is 15 and a half. So I've got a daughter that's 21. You know, she enjoys the cows, but maybe doesn't. She's got another job, but you know, who knows if they ever want to come back? And I know my son does. So if there's opportunity that allow him to come back to things, or maybe in a new location somewhere, then I'm going to look at it for sure.
Would you say where the or how you're doing today, you would recommend one of your kids to come back?
Yeah. There's going to be tough years, right? It feeds tight and gets expensive and oversupply milk. We all seen what happened when we get a little bit long on milk, right? So I think all the companies are pretty careful compared to what they used to be. 2016 was tough for us, just coming into it and getting slapped with quota and already buying the cows and trying to, that was pretty tough. But I don't think anybody wants to go down that road again, so hopefully they stay short on milk a little bit instead of long a little bit. And
be nice to just be a little bit short all the time, right?
But I don't know, I'm not stupid enough to think it'll never happen again. There's probably a big wave of milk coming, I'm sure.
With the difference in conventional to organic price right now, you have to think there's some cows coming online at some point in time.
Yeah.
Which means more milk.
The rules have made it a little bit tougher and more. You got to be a little more committed and stuff. The last rule change they did is helped with that a lot, I think.
Yeah, that origin of livestock.
Yeah.
Yep.
So if your kids wanted to get into dairy, you would definitely say organic is the way to go for them in the future?
If it's going to be in this area, I'd almost say there's going to be a little bit of organic in the future probably, but also there's people here where we are now that are direct marketing product very successfully. I'm not going to take that on.
Mm-hmm.
But if...
Is that raw milk?
They're doing raw.
Okay. And you can legally sell raw milk here?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not going down that road, but if my kids brought a good business plan and a good work ethic and I had the ability to help them go down that road, I would, right? I'm just not going to give my kids anything.
Mm-hmm.
But if my kids want to work for it and they want to work alongside of me, I'd be thrilled.
Mm-hmm.
So
willing to help, not willing to give.
That's, I believe, what my wife and me would have discussed. You know, you'd have to ask her to get the final say, but
that's a smart man right here.
But yeah, I believe that's kind of the idea, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that's how my mother and father and uncle treated me, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And I think, you know, kids when they're in their late teens think they might know what it is they want.
Oh, yeah.
But man, oh man, that's early to make that decision. And, you know, when you make that decision on a dairy farm, that's a commitment. You gotta love it. You gotta love what it is that dairy farming is.
I think one thing we've discussed with, and who knows, you know, this is all talk. I haven't had an 18-year-old son yet, so I don't know, but I would like him to go experience something other than working for me first, right?
Mm-hmm.
For a couple years. I don't care if he goes and does whatever job interests him, or if dairy's his thing and he wants to go work on another dairy somewhere, great. If he wants to do something else, go do it. But go do something else before and learn, and before you come back. And that's kind of what we're leaning towards. I don't know if we'll. Who knows? I haven't had an 18-year-old son yet, so we don't know. But
they're challenging, I can tell you.
So.
The nice part, I've seen that a couple of times where, you know, the kids have to go do something else before making the full commitment to dive back into the dairy. Or
has it been successful when you've seen it happen, or is
the benefit of that is, like, if, I mean, just hypothetically, say your son went and worked on another dairy or worked, you know, agriculture adjacent, let's say he went and diesel mechanic or something.
Yeah.
Those skills transfer back.
Yeah.
And, you know, if they...
Who knows what ideas they gain from somewhere else, right?
One of the cool things I've seen is, you know, when a kid goes and works on another dairy, they see dairying differently than what they've seen here, which is a benefit.
We all do it different, right?
And they can bring those ideas back of, hey, I saw it done. Oh, I never thought of that. That's a good idea.
Yeah, we all do it different.
And get stuck at times, or didn't even know there was some of these options out there either.
For sure. Yep.
Well, I think of, Thomas in Western Ohio. Like, he went and was a John Deere mechanic and then came back and has now taken over the farm. Like, that skill set helps him tremendously.
And gained tons of experience and skill.
And he's making it happen. You know, that was an off the farm and then coming back.
Cool.
I always think, you know, when you encourage your kids to go try something else, you have to be okay with the fact if they decide
maybe they like it better.
That's not for them, you know.
That's okay, right?
Yeah. Yep. You've got to be okay with it. or you're not sending them away for the right reason.
And who knows? Maybe I like to be the boss too much. Maybe I'm not gonna. Maybe my kids aren't gonna wanna work for me, and maybe, yeah. You know, I told you I had a business partner, but you know, he's like, nobody's gonna call the shots around here but me. So, his kids have farms, but they got their own farm, right? So maybe me and my son work well together. Maybe we don't. Maybe me and my daughter work good together. Who knows? But I'm willing to try. I'm willing to try about anything.
But they almost have to work for somebody else to realize if they like working for you or not.
Yeah, correct.
Because you've got to have a measuring stick.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
So
you're hoping they find out that Dad's a much better boss than the other guy, not the other way around.
Yeah. Well, they all go through a stage where Dad don't know nothing and Mom don't know nothing, right?
Mm-hmm. And then in the early 20s, all of a sudden you become really, really smart. All of a sudden,
I'm hoping.
Yeah. I'm now there for a couple of mine. So
good.
Yep.
You're a little bit ahead of me, huh?
Yep.
One thing I was going to ask about your farms here, do you do much cropping, or is it mostly just set up for pasture and then you're buying feed in?
We, on a lot of the off-site ground, we chop.
Okay.
A lot of silage.
Grass silage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so everything grass here. I did do a little bit of sorghum last year just for grazing.
Have you done that before?
Yeah, usually when I got some grass that, like, you put them on that field and they really go down in milk.
Then time to renovate.
Oh.
And then you buy your alfalfa hay and your grain in.
Yep, correct. Mm-hmm. So the alfalfa hay comes out of southern Oregon and eastern Washington.
Can I ask what that's running a ton?
300. By the time it gets here, it's 300.
That's a deal. We're at like $4.95 in Ohio right now.
Oh, really? I'll be down. Yeah. Yeah, by the time it gets here, yeah, some of it a little cheaper, but, you know, by the time I blend the heifer hay with the dairy hay, it might be $2.90 or something, but 300's a round number.
Mm-hmm. Do you feed corn?
Whole corn or what?
Yeah, silage and whole corn.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So corn silage, we've only been on it about a month.
Okay.
Yeah, that comes pretty good haul, 5 hours away, so. And we feed.
Making milk?
About the same.
Okay.
As I haven't really, I got to get on and look at my components and see, but I think it might increase components, I don't know, but we're on pretty good. We got pretty good alfalfa right now. That helps, and then my grass silage last year was pretty good, so you get grass put up right, it milks. You get it put up wrong, it don't. So,
and if you don't get it put up right, you're going to have to buy protein in somehow.
Which we buy protein in for, especially for corn silage, but.
That
we haven't
soybean
been
meal?
on it that long. Yeah.
Okay.
I bought soy, and right now on this farm we're doing canola, soy.
Okay.
Canola, soy, flour, potatoes, alfalfa, grass silage, and corn silage. And I just tried adding in some bypass fat. I'm not sold on that. So I think I was already pushing like a lot of energy to them already. So I don't know.
Tell me about the potatoes, because that's a new one that you don't hear in a dairy ration much.
Just feed waste potatoes from the people that grow corn for me, and we just stumbled across them, and she cold called me and asked if I wanted to feed potatoes, and I said, well, let me do a little research, and said, okay, I'll try load, and then it's turned into a pretty good relationship that I buy quite a bit of stuff from them. Whole grain, whole corn, and potatoes and alfalfa.
These are like seconds potatoes? Or
yeah.
is it the whole potato?
Yeah, whole potato, yeah.
Are they washed?
Most of the time they even come washed, yeah.
Okay.
Most of the time.
And then you run them through a grinder? Or
No.
You just
No.
put them in the mixer like that?
Yeah.
And does it mash it up a little bit?
Not too many. We'll go out and look.
They'll just eat the whole thing.
Well, the first 3 days we fed them, all of my guys were like, "What are we doing? This is a mistake." And the cows didn't know what they were. They just sorted them and left them kind of in the bunk, and we were throwing them away. And took about 3 days. Now that's the first thing they eat.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I don't know.
So they're
They're starch, right? So
they'll just bite them?
yeah,
break them?
We go watch them eat here in a minute. Yeah.
That's neat. Because that's the one thing that seems to be missing in organic dairy is the options of like the potatoes and stuff. Because generally speaking, when the farm's doing that, it's a conventional farm. Because you don't have big enough acreage of organic potatoes or whatever it may be to for somebody to feed it consistently, and most people don't want to have a load now and then a load in 3 weeks, so to hear that you've got access to that's pretty cool.
Hey, it's sporadic, but you can't be afraid to try either, right? So I try. Right now we're trying buckwheat. I don't know what buckwheat is. I have no clue what buckwheat is, but I'll try it.
How'd you get hooked up to that?
Same thing. They cold call. I guess they cold call me and say, "Hey, I got this available." And well, what's it? What could it replace? What's it cost? Worth a shot trying. Who knows if it turns into something? So
sounds like they found the perfect guy to call if they've got a load of something random.
Yeah,
right?
I'll try anything. It don't.
How do you?
If it prices in right.
How do you figure out what that can replace or how to feed it? Do you work with a nutritionist or you do it yourself?
Yeah. Yep, nutritionist. Yeah.
Okay.
Vincent is his name.
And is he familiar with some of these things that you're getting?
Some of them not. I don't think he'd ever done buckwheat, but we tried it. It did okay. It's not as good as we were wanting, but so I just ground it and took it to the heifers. Put a little bit in the cow diet, but mostly heifer feed if it's cheap enough. So anyway, that's about as much as I know.
Okay. Well, Luke, thank you so much for taking the time. I know I'm sure you didn't have an hour to carve out for us this morning, but I appreciate it.
Oh, no problem.
Really interesting to hear about your different dairies and everything you got going on, and I do want an update once you've got those collars activated because I'm really curious.
Sounds good. Yeah, we'll give. Hopefully they work out well, and you can come out and watch them in action, maybe.
Yep. Another reason to come back. So thanks, Luke.
Yep.
Thank you, Luke.